Have you ever pondered the fascinating journey that maps have made through history? How have they evolved from simple drawings on cave walls to the sophisticated digital maps we use today? But in the midst of this evolution, there exists a curious oddity: the Pinkerton map of 1818. This map presents a version of Antarctica that's strikingly different from the ice-covered wilderness we know. So let's navigate through the rich history of cartography and unravel the mystery of the Pinkerton map. Let's begin our journey with a look at the dawn of cartography, the study and practice of making maps. You see, our ancestors from as far back as the Upper Paleolithic era were the first to feel the urge to document their surroundings. The earliest examples of maps date back around 14,000 years as cave paintings. These cave paintings, found in various locations around the world, such as the Lascaux Caves in France or the Adora Caves in Italy, didn't depict vast landscapes or complex geographical elements. Instead, they focused on local areas, often depicting hunting grounds or animal migration patterns. Moving forward to around 2300 BC, we come across the ancient city of Nippur, located in modern-day Iraq. Here, a town plan engraved on a clay tablet stands as one of the oldest known maps, providing a more detailed and organized representation of human settlements. This was an epochal shift, as it showed that humans had started understanding their spatial relation to the surroundings, a fundamental concept in map-making. Then came the maps of ancient Egypt, primarily used for tax collection purposes, which showed the course of the Nile and the locations of different estates. There were also the early cave drawings in China, including the ancient star maps etched onto the ceilings of the Dunhuang caves, indicating an understanding of celestial navigation. The Greeks, renowned for their mathematical prowess, revolutionized map-making. The works of Anaximander, Herodotus, and particularly Eratosthenes set the stage for the methodical science of map-making. These maps were limited in their geographical scope, mostly documenting the Mediterranean and Near East regions. However, these initial strides in cartography were more than just lines on clay, parchment, or stone. They were indicative of humanity's innate desire to understand, navigate, and make sense of the world around us. And this, my friends, was just the beginning. As we arrive at my favorite part now, we're going to delve into the Pinkerton World Map, a unique artifact from the 19th century cartographic world. Named after its creator, Scottish cartographer John Pinkerton, the map presents a view of the world that both embodied the understanding of its time and hinted at the mysteries still unsolved. Created in the early 1800s, the Pinkerton map offers a remarkably detailed depiction of the continents, particularly given the technology of the era. It reflects an era of burgeoning imperialism and exploration, with territories often drawn along colonial lines. The major continents of Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas are laid out with striking detail, but our focus here is particularly on the depiction of the less explored and most mysterious continent, Antarctica. Pinkerton's map is interesting because it leaves Antarctica largely a mystery, a stark contrast to the detailed portrayals of the other continents. Antarctica is partially depicted, suggesting the cartographer's awareness of a southern landmass, yet its true extent and shape remain ambiguous. This limited representation reflects the prevailing knowledge about Antarctica at the time. It was a place shrouded in mystery, with its icy interior largely unexplored. The incomplete depiction of Antarctica can be attributed to the fact that the Pinkerton map predates the first confirmed sighting of the Antarctic mainland by the Russian expedition, led by Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen and Mikhail Lazarev in 1820. It's interesting to note that the map's portrayal of Antarctica is largely conjectural, pieced together from the accounts of whalers and explorers who had ventured into the frigid Southern Ocean and had reported sightings of icebergs and land. This incomplete depiction of the Antarctic continues to fuel various conspiracy theories and speculative fiction about lost civilizations and hidden treasures. The Pinkerton map stands as a tantalizing testament to the time when the world still had blank spots, spaces left for the unknown and the imagined, spaces that ignited human curiosity and the spirit of exploration. Now let's shift our focus on the fascinating mystery of Antarctica as it pertains to cartography and history. The Pinkerton map, with its conspicuously incomplete portrayal of Antarctica, only deepens the allure surrounding this icy continent. But why has Antarctica become the focal point of so many mysteries and theories? Well, first, let's establish some facts about this southernmost continent. It's the coldest, windiest, and most isolated place on Earth. Covered by ice that averages more than a mile thick, Antarctica remained unknown and unseen by humans until the early 19th century. Even today, it's largely uninhabited, save for scientists residing in research stations. This extreme remoteness and inaccessibility, coupled with its late discovery, has fueled speculation and mystery for centuries. Over the years, Antarctica has been subject to numerous theories and conjectures. Some have hypothesized that it could be the location of the lost city of Atlantis, the mythical civilization described by Plato. Others propose that the continent might be home to secret military bases or even alien outposts. Theories have also emerged suggesting the presence of vast networks of warm rivers and lakes beneath the icy surface capable of supporting life. While much of this is speculative and unproven, it does highlight our enduring fascination with this largely unknown territory. From a cartographic perspective, Antarctica is also interesting due to the numerous anomalies and discrepancies that have appeared in maps over the centuries. For instance, the Piri Reis map, created by a Turkish admiral in the 16th century, allegedly shows Antarctica without its ice, a detail that continues to baffle researchers given the map's age. Moreover, even after Antarctica's official discovery, it was often inaccurately depicted or entirely omitted from many maps, further adding to its mystique. As we continue to explore and understand this unique continent, we unravel more of its secrets. Yet despite our advances in technology and exploration, Antarctica retains an aura of mystery, captured so well in the incomplete rendering on the Pinkerton map. It serves as a reminder of the vast frontiers yet to be fully explored and understood on our own planet. Moving on, we enter the era of a man named Claudius Ptolemy, an astronomer, mathematician, and above all, a geographer who lived in the Roman Empire in the 2nd century AD. Ptolemy's contributions to cartography were pivotal in the development of the discipline, shaping it into the science we know today. In his revolutionary work, Geographia, Ptolemy compiled and consolidated the geographical knowledge of the Roman Empire. But he did much more than just provide a list of places and their locations. Ptolemy introduced the use of longitudes and latitudes in the form of a gridded network. This system was a significant development in map-making, allowing for a standardized way to express location and navigate across the globe. However, it wasn't just about the mathematical precision. Ptolemy also introduced the idea of projecting the spherical Earth onto a two-dimensional surface, which we know is a fundamental challenge in map-making. His most famous projection, known as the Ptolemaic projection, distorted size to maintain accurate shapes, a concept widely used in modern cartography. Ptolemy's work was remarkable for its time, but it was not without errors. For instance, he greatly underestimated the Earth's circumference, leading to a smaller, more condensed representation of the known world. Despite these inaccuracies, Ptolemy's influence on the science of cartography cannot be overstated. He paved the way for the explorers of the Middle Ages, who used his system of latitude and longitude to navigate the world's oceans. His works, rediscovered and translated into Latin around the 15th century, became a basis for Renaissance mapmakers and explorers pushing the boundaries of the known world. Now let us dive into the Age of Exploration, a period ranging from the 15th to the 17th century that was marked by extensive overseas exploration from European powers. This era of curiosity and daring gave rise to the intricate science of modern cartography and saw unprecedented advances in mapmaking. In this era, the discovery of new lands and sea routes necessitated the creation of accurate maps. Cartographers began to adopt a system of projection influenced by Ptolemy that allowed them to draw the Earth's round surface on a flat piece of paper. They employed advanced techniques and principles to represent the Earth's features realistically, showing coastlines, bodies of water, and significant landmarks. One notable figure during this period was Gerardus Mercator, a Flemish cartographer whose 1569 world map introduced a cylindrical projection known as the Mercator projection. His projection preserved the angles and shapes of land masses, a critical feature for navigation, but resulted in significant distortion of size as you move away from the equator. Meanwhile, the Portuguese cartographer Pedro Reinel created the oldest known signed Portuguese nautical chart around 1504. His works, alongside other cartographers from the Lisbon School of Cartography, were instrumental in the development of nautical charts with their focus on practical use for navigation. However, the age of exploration wasn't just about European cartographers. Globally, various cultures were developing their own techniques for mapping. For instance, the indigenous people of the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean used stick charts, which employed shells and sticks to represent waves and islands. The maps from this period reflected not just geographical knowledge, but also the political and cultural context of their time. They often included fantastical beasts and mythical lands, reflecting the sense of wonder and mystery that was characteristic of the age of exploration. It was an age of intrigue, discovery, and the quest to conquer the unknown. Finally, at last, we arrive at our present day, the era of digital cartography and satellite imaging. But don't let modernity fool you. Today's techniques carry on the rich tradition of the past, albeit in vastly more complex and sophisticated ways. However, even with all the technology at our disposal, the challenge of capturing our planet's intricate details remains, offering a captivating blend of art, science, and technology. In the modern era, we've graduated from parchment and ink to GPS and satellite imagery. But despite this shift in medium, the essence of cartography, understanding and representing our world, remains unchanged. The advent of satellite technology has allowed us to map the entire globe with an unprecedented level of detail and accuracy. From the comfort of our homes, we can explore remote corners of the Earth, observe changing weather patterns, and even monitor the movements of wildlife. Google Earth, for instance, is an incredible example of modern cartography. It compiles satellite imagery and aerial photography to produce a 3D representation of the Earth's surface, accessible to anyone with an internet connection. It has democratized the world of maps, allowing anyone to become an armchair explorer. But it's not just about exploration. Modern cartography plays a critical role in urban planning, disaster response, climate studies, and much more. Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, integrate spatial data with other types of data to help us understand patterns and relationships in the world around us. From tracking the spread of diseases to optimizing public transport routes, GIS has become an essential tool in diverse fields. And yet, in all this progress, maps still carry an element of subjectivity. Mercator projections, commonly used in online maps, can distort sizes of countries near the poles, leading to misconceptions. No map can perfectly represent the Earth's spherical surface on a flat plane without some form of distortion. So even today, the art of map-making involves trade-offs and choices, echoing the challenges faced by ancient cartographers. In conclusion, whether we're peering down from satellites or analyzing data on our computers, we continue the timeless pursuit of understanding our place in the world. From early star charts to Pinkerton's world map, to the hyper-detailed maps of today, we've made immense strides. And yet, as the mysteries of Antarctica remind us, there are always new frontiers waiting to be charted. The call of the unknown, the allure of uncharted territory, the thrill of new discovery, they're powerful motivators. They have driven us to the depths of the oceans, to the peaks of the highest mountains, and even out into the farthest reaches of space. But sometimes the unknown bites back. Today we're stepping into the icy, desolate, yet mesmerizing world of Antarctica, and our guides for this chilling journey are none other than the brave, or perhaps the foolhardy crew of the Belgica, who embarked on a perilous Antarctic expedition in the late 19th century. What can their ill-fated voyage teach us about human perseverance, the power of ingenuity, and the high price of exploration? Let's dive in. Picture this. It's August 1897. A sturdy oak-framed ship with triple-sheathed hull named Belgica embarks from the historic city of Antwerp, Belgium. This three-masted vessel, constructed with the strength to withstand the fierce Antarctic conditions, was destined to be a part of history as it set sail under the Belgian flag. The expedition was captained by Adrien de Galache, a driven, audacious 31-year-old Belgian naval officer. It was his spirit of adventure that prompted him to invest his personal fortune into this expedition. His motivation was not mere territorial conquest, as it was with so many explorers of the age. No, de Gerlach was driven by scientific curiosity, with the intention to explore the largely uncharted Antarctic region and contribute to the understanding of its mysterious icy wilderness. The crew, handpicked by de Gerlach himself, was as diverse as they were courageous. The Belgica was manned by an international team, which included the American doctor Frederick Cook and Roald Amundsen, a young Norwegian who would later be famed for leading the first successful expedition to the South Pole. As the Belgica cut through the North Sea and later through the unforgiving waters of the South Atlantic, excitement among the crew was palpable. They were bound by a shared sense of purpose, each man knowing that they were on the brink of a groundbreaking expedition that could expand the world as they knew it. But, as they would soon discover, Antarctica's icy seas had other plans. Upon reaching the Antarctic waters, the Belgica was greeted with a sight that was as beautiful as it was eerie. Massive icebergs floated like spectral monoliths in the ocean, their peaks illuminated by the ethereal Antarctic light. The silence of the landscape was broken only by the harsh scraping of ice against the Belgica's reinforced hull. These first encounters with the Antarctic landscape served as a chilling reminder of the perils that lay ahead. On February 28, 1898, the Belgica got entrapped in the Antarctic pack ice. The crew watched with growing concern as the sea around them turned into a vast plain of solid ice. Trapped far from civilization, in a sea frozen into immobility, the Belgica and her crew were left to the mercy of the unforgiving Antarctic winter. Imagine the psychological impact this would have had on the crew. Trapped in an icy prison, with the darkness of the polar night descending upon them, the crew had to face the unsettling reality that they were stuck in the ice with no means of escape. However, as daunting as their predicity was, de Gerlach insisted on maintaining scientific operations. The crew continued to take meteorological and magnetic readings, hunted for penguins and seals, and dug ice tunnels for temperature readings. In many ways, the Belgica's enforced halt turned it into an ad hoc polar research station. For the next several months, the ship was enveloped in almost continuous darkness. The days and nights blurred into an unending twilight, punctuated only by the green and pink flickers of the aurora australis. The stunning beauty of the southern lights offered a stark contrast to the bleak reality of their predicament. The Belgica was lost in the coldest place on Earth, with no guarantee of ever escaping its icy grip. As the full severity of the Antarctic winter began to set in, life aboard the Belgica became increasingly grim. The lack of sunlight and the monotony of the ice-locked seascape took a toll on the crew's mental health. The polar night, with its unending darkness, is psychologically unnerving in a way few of us can truly understand. The temperature outside regularly plunged below -30 degrees Celsius, which was so cold that it caused the ship's outer hull to groan and creak as it contracted. The men had to take shifts to chip away the ice accumulating on the ship's exterior to prevent it from being crushed. Their diet, consisting largely of tinned food, was hardly appetizing or nutritious, and it began to affect their health. Scurvy, caused by vitamin C deficiency, began to appear among the crew. The ship's cat, Nansen, named after the famed Norwegian explorer, sadly became one of the first victims, losing its life to the freezing conditions. Conditions worsened when the ship's doctor, Frederick Cook, identified the first signs of polar madness, or polar hysteria, as he termed it, among the crew. The unending darkness, extreme cold, and monotonous isolated conditions led to symptoms of severe depression, anxiety, and paranoia. Cook was not just the ship's doctor, but also its psychologist, treating both the physical and psychological illnesses on board. The grim winter brought them face to face not just with physical hardships, but a psychological battle of endurance. In these harsh conditions, the men had to fight not just for survival, but for their sanity as well. When faced with such a daunting survival situation, the crew of the Belgica had to get creative. Dr. Cook, realizing the lack of vitamins in their diet, suggested hunting for fresh meat. The frozen wasteland was not completely devoid of life, and they were able to supplement their diet with Antarctic seabirds and penguins, dramatically improving their health. Crew morale was another critical issue to address. Imagine being stuck in a cold, dark, monotonous environment for an extended period. The psychological stress is unimaginable. To counter this, the crew initiated a daily routine that included chores, scientific work, and even social activities. Regular meals, group reading sessions, and music performances were organized to break the monotony and bring some semblance of normalcy. In addition, to fight the darkness-induced depression, a rudimentary light therapy was devised. Sunlight, or its absence, can significantly impact our mood, sleep, and overall well-being. Recognizing this, Dr. Cook installed a light room where the crew members could bathe in the light emitted by the ship's carbon arc lamps, simulating sunlight and staving off the worst effects of the polar darkness. This creative solution was, in essence, one of the earliest uses of phototherapy, a practice now widespread in modern medicine to treat conditions like seasonal affective disorder. Despite these measures, surviving the harsh Antarctic winter was not an easy task. The crew battled frostbite, near starvation, madness, and despair. Some of them, such as the Belgian sailor Auguste Karl Wienke, tragically didn't make it. But against all odds, most of the crew survived, waiting desperately for the summer thaw to free their ship from the ice's grip. Finally, after months of grueling hardship, the summer sun began to peek over the horizon, hinting at the end of the long Antarctic winter. But despite the slight warming, the Belgica remained firmly trapped in the ice. Survival had shifted into another phase: escape. Dr. Cook and Amundsen, already having demonstrated remarkable leadership in maintaining the crew's morale and health, now turned their attention to freeing the Belgica from its icy prison. They understood that waiting passively could mean another winter trapped in the ice, a scenario they knew the crew could not survive, so they devised a plan to manually break and saw the ice around the Belgica. It was a monumental task, given the ice was several feet thick, and the ship was trapped for nearly a mile's length. Armed with pickaxes, saws, and shovels, the crew labored diligently, chipping away at the frozen ocean. They even attempted to blast the ice with explosives, only to find the shock could damage the Belgica's hull. After weeks of grueling labor, they made progress. The crew, in a feat of extraordinary determination, carved a channel nearly 900 meters long and wide enough for the Belgica to pass through. However, there was another obstacle. The ship's engines, unused and unmaintained for more than a year, were in dire condition. But with some improvised repairs and the combined strength of the desperate crew, they managed to get the engines working just enough. On February 15, 1899, the crew of the Belgica, tired, worn but unbroken, began their journey through the channel they had carved. With the ship shuddering and groaning against the pressure of the ice, they made slow progress. It was an arduous and nerve-wracking journey. But on March 14, 1899, more than a year after they first became trapped, the Belgica finally broke free from the ice and sailed into the open waters of the Antarctic Ocean, marking the end of their harrowing ordeal. This escape from the ice was not just a triumph over the harsh Antarctic environment, it was a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and the indomitable will to survive. Despite the odds, they had managed to turn a desperate situation into a story of survival and scientific discovery. And in doing so, the crew of the Belgica etched their names into the annals of polar exploration. The Belgica expedition may have been a harrowing and grueling ordeal, but its impact extends far beyond the survival story. The team, led by the indomitable Gerlach and Cook, collected a wealth of scientific data that would contribute significantly to our understanding of Antarctica. The crew's observations, measurements, and samples helped shape the scientific community's perceptions of the world's most remote and inhospitable continent. They catalogued new species, took extensive meteorological data, and mapped parts of the Antarctic coast, providing a foundation for future expeditions. Moreover, the psychological impact of the long, dark winter and the crew's struggle with polar madness contributed to an early understanding of seasonal affective disorder. Cook's method of using a carefully balanced diet to combat scurvy would inform future Antarctic expeditions and change maritime health practices. And so the saga of the Belgica serves as a chilling reminder of the cost of venturing into the unknown, the fine line between bravery and folly, and the incredible feats humans can accomplish in the face of adversity. The crew of the Belgica didn't conquer Antarctica. Instead, they fell victim to its unforgiving nature. Yet, through perseverance, teamwork, and a good deal of desperate ingenuity, they overcame their ordeal, offering us an awe-inspiring testament to human resilience. As we gaze upon the vast expanse of the Antarctic through their eyes, we are humbly reminded that the unknown still holds many secrets and challenges, even as our thirst for exploration continues. And as always, thanks for watching.